What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Justin here, and in today's video we're going to go over what I've done to my 125 gallon reef tank. Now it's been a lot of ups and downs in this tank so far. I'm really focusing on the corals right now, and in the last video, I don't know if you watched it or not, but I've added a lot of corals. Now I have over 30 corals in here. So today we're going to talk about some of the new corals I've added since then, some of the problems that I've run into, some of the corals that I had that were looking bad that I've made look better, and also some corals that have died. Oh, and I rescaped the tank, so that's always fun. So you'll let me know if y'all like the rescape. I did a little bit of rescaping, so nothing major, but because a lot of y'all said y'all love the rock work, so I left it as is. I kind of just added a few rocks in some places. So let me know what you think about the scape. Let's roll an intro that I'm going to create for this little reef series here on the channel. And yeah, thank you so much. Let's roll that intro and get straight into all the complications that a reef tank can bring. But I love it. It's a never-ending puzzle. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, so if you watched my previous video, you'll notice that I did rescape a little bit. So towards the top of the tank, I added some arches in various places to mount SPS to in the future. So you can see there's a few arches. One of them I put upside down, and you see that little bird's nest coral on it. And the other four, I kind of just placed up high, kind of pointing them out here. You can kind of see they create some cool tunnels in the upper part of the tank, which is nice, and it just gives me more room for coral. That's why I added them. So they're kind of leaned up against the back glass, but I'm gonna let Coraline grow on that and not really clean it much. So let me know if you like the rescape. Comment below if it's too cluttered, or do you like the arches. So next, let's talk about the new corals I've added to the tank. This is the centerpiece of the tank right now, and that is a beautiful scully. These things are awesome to feed. I'm going to throw in a time lapse real quick. Man, if you've never seen a scully feed, you're about to, and they're awesome. So I'll let the video speak for itself. Next, if you look to the far left of the tank, I put in a rose bubble tip anemone, and it wasn't originally right there. I actually put it in the middle of the tank, and it moved all the way to the outskirts of the tank. So he's there. You can't really move him once they get set in a good spot. He is wedged way down in that rock. And fun fact, if you didn't know this, but anemones aren't corals. They're actually living animals. So they can move around if they choose. If they get pissed off, they will move across your tank and destroy any delicate coral in their path. Next, we're going to talk about a little bit of a problem, and that's the canopy that I created. The gas struts have put a tremendous amount of stress on the top of the hood and ripped it. I have to redesign this because it just looks bad, and it could break any day now. So I'm going to try to come up with a better system for the lights as well, and probably do a whole redesign on the top. Also with the lights, there is hot spots because of these lights. They're cheap, most people call them black box lights that you can get off of Amazon, and they're not the best when it comes to like quality. So they are very bright, but they're not very consistent with their light spread, if you know anything about that. So I might take off some of the lenses within the light, because right now the light is super hot, like right in the middle, super bright, but then the outsides aren't very bright. So you have to have the lights mounted really high for them to get a decent spread on the bottom of your tank. It's just, you know, there's 1,000 ways to, you know, solve this. You either move the lights higher, or you can take off the little lenses, and I think I'm just going to take off the lenses because I don't want my canopy to be super tall to accommodate for these, you know, cheap lights. So another lesson I learned between last video and this one is that you really need to glue every coral to your scape. Not to small rocks that you can move around your scape, but to big rocks, because, well, if you have snails especially like me. So I had the purple and green tipped torch in this tank. It was a beautiful piece, and a snail, I'm guessing, bulldozed it over and during the night, and I didn't see it till the next day when I got home from work, and it was basically a goner from then. It was just face down in the sand, and I lost a nice piece because, you know, I had my coral glued to a small rock instead of gluing it to the scape. So glue everything you have to the scape, because you don't want any of them to get displaced and knocked off your reef. Okay, so one problem I ran into, and I noticed it on the candy cane coral, is I saw some flatworms crawling around on it. And so I thought, you know, I just had a few on the candy cane. I needed to get rid of them, so I didn't want them to spread. But little did I know, I went to my local fish store and picked up this stuff. It worked really well. So there you go, flatworm exit by Salifert. So it comes in a little, it's crazy, you get this big box, and then what's inside of it's this little bitty bottle. So basically this treats up to 300 gallons, so I can use it again if I have another outbreak. But I had a lot of flatworms in there. The Alveopora that was pissed off in my last video on the corals, this guy right down there, you can kind of see him. Yeah, he's still not back to like fully being open, but he's looking a lot better. There had to have been at least 20 or 30 flatworms on him, because I put the meds in at night to where I could see the flatworms like on the corals. You know, I shined my flashlight in there because I read a little bit and people said flatworms are real active at night, and you know, all the corals are closed up, so like that Alveopora, I could see the little flatworms crawling around. And this stuff, within 30 minutes, all the flatworms were, you know, right when I put it in the tank, the flatworms started going crazy, which was like they started running around. You could tell it was working. They were very agitated, and eventually they all died. So I siphoned them out, siphoned as many as I could out, because that's what you're supposed to do. It has some pretty good directions on here about dosing and, you know, what to do after. I got carbon running in there right now, and I did the water change like it says in the instructions. So hopefully I solved that. That might have been why the hammer was pissed off. It's looking a little better. I've had that thing for like a month now, and it just is not doing well. I don't know why. I've moved it down in low light, medium flow. We're gonna see what it does there. I'm not gonna move it. I think half my problem is I keep moving stuff around too much. So I'm leaving it there. We'll see how it does. So I'm glad I got the flatworm problem taken care of. I'm just, you know, I highly recommend, if you see flatworms in your tank, go ahead and get them out, because the meds aren't really gonna piss off your corals. From what I read, it's going to be if you wait too long and there's a lot of flatworms in your tank, because once you do kill them, you're not really going to be able to get all of them out of your tank, because they're going to die. They're going to get blown around in cracks and crevices, and the problem is they're little, you know, they're little worms, and their bodies disintegrate. And I don't know, I read that the main problem is the flatworms end up nuking your tank because they're dead and their bodies are dissolving in your tank. So that's the main thing, is catch it early, get them out of there to where there's not, you know, a ton of them in your tank. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. I just wanted to end on that, you know, the flatworm problem that I had. It was super simple to take care of or solve, whatever. Hopefully it doesn't flare back up, but you know, I hope you liked the new anemone and the scully. Man, that scully is awesome. It's just watching that thing feed. That footage I just got, or that I showed y'all, is just phenomenal. If you don't like that, then I don't know why you're in this hobby, because that to me, that's the coolest thing about it, is watching those corals feed. Like, they're such static creatures. Like, if you looked at that scully, my girlfriend calls it a painted rock. She doesn't really understand. I say, watch this. Just sit here for a few minutes and watch this thing feed. It kind of grosses her out how the thing just freaking like engulfs those shrimp like that. I mean, that was a big shrimp, and that thing just sucked it down. It's funny that it's so static, but then when it comes to be feeding time, it eats like me and you. So that's pretty cool. I hope you like the new scape. You know, comment below some more corals that I should get. You know, I'm not an expert, so I don't know all the corals. Definitely, I probably don't even know half the different corals out there, so I'm learning. So I need some suggestions on some cool corals that I can put in here in the future. So hit me up in the comments below, and you know, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But for now, you know, take it easy, keep reefing, or if you haven't set up a reef tank, I highly suggest it. Or if you just like watching these videos, thanks for watching them, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. I'm not sure what it's going to be on. Probably, you know, I might end up redoing this whole canopy up here. Maybe getting some new lights, because these black, or fixing the lenses like I talked about, because these cheap lights have very, very hot spots on your corals, and so some of your corals aren't going to be getting enough light, and a lot of your corals are just going to be blasted by light. So it's hard to tell without a par meter where those spots are. And so I'm probably going to take those lenses off on there, maybe. Or I might just invest in some new lights. So let me know what you want to see, guys. See you in the next video. Peace out.